All right, we are live. It's the Spinnin Backfist MMA show for January 23rd, 2023. It's a special show. A UFC Hall of Famer joining the program, Forrest Griffin, to talk about the new Power Slap League on TBS. And we're, of course, going to talk about UFC 283 this weekend. Very eventful night, very good night of fights. And, oh, my God, the talk since the fights has been going on Twitter, especially for us.
We've been in the news a little bit.
A little bit.
Maybe not the news in the,
not the news, but
in the Twitter sphere and in the
MMA Twitter.
The MMA
world.
Twitter streets, if you will. Yeah. Are you just starting with that?
Yeah, so let's start with that. UFC 283. Prior to the fights, few hours before the fights, Jack Mack, our very own Jack Mack, who's not here right now, he's doing unnecessary roughness, tweeted at McGregor Rousey, another one of our MMA Twitter guys, love McGregor Rousey, said that was going to beat McKinney. Didn't say that.
Well, and also he didn't say it. He said it out of the blue, but it was McGregor Rousey account.
Yeah.
They tweeted a picture of the face-off between Bonfim and Terrence McKinney, basically saying, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially saying brave of him to be trying to go Super Saiyan and then have to face McKinney in his debut. Where Jack Mack replied, he's gonna win.
So that's where
talking about
starts.
Bonfim. That's where it started. Jack Mack replied to that tweet saying Bonfim was gonna win. McKinney, I believe, replied to that.
Yeah.
Or maybe the other guy.
The other guy said, hey, ease up on the McKinney doubt.
Ease up on the McKinney doubt. And then McKinney said, it's basically surprise, shocker, Barstool Sports doesn't know sports.
Which is whatever. We hear that all the time.
People say that all the time. It's
but I think we both thought we were cool with McKinney to a degree. Not cool with him, but he followed us for a while.
I knew he didn't like some of the Patty stuff.
Which makes sense. He's been calling him out for a year.
Which I believe that was why he unfollowed me originally. Was I just made a joking tweet about Patty that was saying he clearly won whatever, the Jared Gordon fight. But I thought it was all good. I knew he didn't love that. So I knew that was kind of, I believe, the start of, because I know he used to like Barstool. I think that made him.
He definitely used to like Barstool.
Rubbed him the wrong way on Barstool. Then this happened.
So then he tweets that, and the whole kind of narrative of the day, especially on our end, was this is Jack Mack versus Terrence McKinney. This is the new main event.
It became that. It definitely became that pretty quickly.
The fight goes down, and he gets knocked out in the first round with a brutal knee. Bad knockout. Same knee he got knocked out with in the Contender Series. And I went to the blog. I wrote the blog on it, and my headline was Terrence McKinney gets knocked out cold just hours after saying Barstool doesn't know sports, claiming Barstool didn't know sports. Honestly, for about 24 hours, everyone was nobody said anything about it. And then McKinney retweeted it last night, said this is why I don't fuck with Barstool. Said specifically Robbie Barstool tagged me. Thank you for the tag. And since then, it has been I've been saying to you guys, my mentions have been a dumpster fire, probably rightfully so to a degree. I think a lot of the people that are like, how could a journalist say this? They're off the mark a little bit. But if you think I'm a journalist and you think I'm as a journalist, I see the outrage. I see where it was obviously disrespectful. But from my perspective, I was like, this is a blog. One, that's the number one thing. I'm not a journalist. I don't refer to myself as a journalist. I never will. It's a blog where we talk shit. To be honest, we talk shit. We always have. And did I go a little too far with that one? Maybe. With the headline and the picture together, probably a little too petty with that over, I don't know, a silly tweet. But I don't know. I'm getting tweeted by Nick Maximoff now. I'm a little bitch, he said. True.
Well, wasn't the Maximoff thing? Didn't Lee make a big an edited video of him talking about Petrov? I think it was that. I believe he made a video. I believe Lee, I think was there somebody on our end made a video with Maximoff of him at a press conference saying I'm talking about Petrovsky saying I'll fight him, whatever, blah blah blah. It's easy, I'm not scared, easy work. And then it's him getting choked out and with the oh no, no.
I forgot
as he's getting literally
that.
asleep on the mat.
So he probably didn't like us.
So I'm sure Maximoff did not like that.
That makes sense. But the McKinney thing.
And then what happens is I've noticed. I remember I was getting this back from when I was a vice writer when I was making content at the Barstool Ohio State account where everything that gets tweeted the world just assumes essentially it's like me, you, or Jack Mac.
Oh yeah,
because we're kind of like become like the faces of the account to some degree.
Yes.
So they just assume it's like straight out of. That's why when Lee talks shit about my favorite fighters, I get upset. So I'm like, now they're not gonna like me.
And I felt bad for you to a degree because I'm like, I know you like Terrence, and
I love Terrence.
I definitely, I would say, ruined that relationship last night. But I don't know. Who knows? I mean, he did retweet Nick Maximoff saying I was a bitch, and then he unretweeted it. So maybe he's warming up to me.
Well, I did reach out to McKinney this morning, just like, yo, like I was like, on my end, it's all love, all respect, like no, like I was like, me and him have DM'd many times in the past. Even after like I DM'd him even after like the Dober loss was like, yo, like what a fight, like you're gonna come back stronger, like huge, like been a fan, like never hated on, never said bad word. So he said it was all love, at least between the two of us. So it's all Terrence, I love you still. I think you're a great fighter. Losing happens, and I think what gets lost in it is you brought this up in our group chat where say this was a quarterback of a football team. Say this happened with Dak Prescott yesterday.
Yep, perfect example.
And then he loses the game, and then we would have eviscerated him like way worse than anyone did to McKinney. But I do respect and understand there's a different angle when it comes to one, football is a team game where McKinney's out there putting his life on the line, putting his livelihood on the line in a legit cage match
for not getting
where he doesn't get half his money. Obviously, listen, as fans of like MMA, you do like seeing people get knocked out, but I don't want to see people literally get like hurt.
No.
Like I hope McKinney's okay, and it seems that he is. But there's a different like the fight game, just boxing or MMA, it just commands like a little bit of a different respect. But I don't fault anything you or Jack Mac did, because if I was Jack Mac, like he kind of was putting like a no, I guess like in a certain world he could have taken the high road, but like in the content game we're in, how could he not at least do like a little victory lap?
A little bit
after he and there's something so personal too with fighting with, and we've had this where we had like Billy Q like a few weeks ago where like I love Billy Q. I just picked against him in that one fight. Literally, if it was like and it was certainly because he was such a big favorite that as just a gambling person, I was like, I'll take a chance at the dog. And I get with fighting, they take it so like personally, and I understand it. Like I said, because it's a single person sport. But as like a gambling person, like me and Jack McGar, we like take it really seriously and legitimately are trying to make money and give our like honest, like unbiased opinions. So like that's gonna happen every now and then where there's a fighter you really like who you may think like this is not a good fight for them, or they're gonna lose, or they're too big of a favorites, or whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't know. It just goes like that sometimes, but it is what it is. I think it'll be fine.
It is what it is. Terrence, if you're out there, I mean, it was a disrespectful
We'd love to have you on the show. I really would. I'm a huge fan. Even Jack Mac, I think, is a fan. He just...
Oh, he definitely is.
Jack Mac just at times struggles with showing emotion. And I love Jack Mac. I said this to his face. He doesn't show emotion. So his brain was just like, I think Bobham's going to win the fight. Yeah. And that was why he said it. That's all it was.
Yeah, it was a very disrespectful headline and thumbnail. I didn't think the blog was as disrespectful as that. I did say I wish him well. I don't actually wish him any harm. I don't actually dislike him even after the Barstool comment. After all this, I don't actually dislike Terrence. It was just kind of I would say a swing and a miss on me trying to play into that narrative.
But it's like you kind of like, given the circumstances and like what we do at Barstool, you like kind of did what you had to do. Because also, like you said, like if you read the context of your blog was not like dancing on his grave.
No,
your blog was respectful.
Yeah,
just the headlines and attention grabber. That's how we get clicks here. You made a headline that was very like attention grabbing. It's like that's literally what you're supposed to do.
I was trying to get clickbait clicks.
That's what you're supposed to do. It's not personal.
Not personal at all. Terrence, we would love to have you on the show and break bread. If you don't want to do that, completely understand. Jamal Hill, the new champ, the other huge talking point out of this card, obviously. Put on a beat down on Glover in the main event, though Glover showed incredible heart resilience like he does in all of his fights, all of his recent fights, especially 40-year-old plus Glover is a war monster.
He is a zombie.
Yeah.
After the exchange where he actually got basically got dropped and was in Jamal Hill was kind of like on top, but like not wanting to go full on, like kind of like picking his shots from the top. When he got up after that and was still like he was literally coming forward.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy is a zombie.
Yeah.
That is the only explanation. He is the toughest motherfucker maybe that's ever gotten a cage. Obviously, there's the toughest of the toughest guys of all time get in that cage, but he like.
We were talking about it before off air, and I said you could have stopped that fight after the 4th round.
There was like I think at least 2 times that I thought they were going to stop it. The one on the ground, I thought they were going to stop it, and there was actually like two more even separate times on the feet where he was up against the fence and he thought he was going to stop, where Hill's just picking him apart, landing big shots, but you couldn't stop it because Teixeira would just like land another big shot,
well, he came
and like back up Jamal Hill.
Got that takedown right.
That's
away.
what I'm saying. Like,
what the fuck?
He came out and proved that you shouldn't have stopped it.
Yeah,
but I mean,
those cuts were nasty too, both of them on each
eye. That's what literally. I think it was the 4th round, like in the middle of the 4th round, before they cleaned him up a little bit.
Zoomed in on it.
His eyes were both just like shut. They were just covered.
There was that picture. Did you see the picture of him with the bandages on? He
looks
like a cartoon character.
His whole face. His literally his entire face is covered in bandages.
Great fight though. Awesome fight. Congrats to Jamal, friend of the program. He was on the show right before the win, which I always like because people like to point out whenever we curse people, they say, whenever someone does the show and then they go on to lose. I like when someone goes on to win.
And good for him, man. Like, what a story. The emotions pouring out of him after were unbelievable.
I thought he wasn't going to be able to do a post-fight interview.
I thought it was, I don't blame DC for it, but I thought it was a little weird that DC, he was like literally crying and he kind of just like,
he like
clearly was not ready to like talk just yet.
Yeah, got down on the ground.
He just got on the ground and just stuck the mic in his face. So he's like trying to like gather himself.
What Caleb would do in that situation.
This man literally just achieved his lifelong dream in that moment in like dominant, incredible fashion over a legend and a Hall of Famer.
And having another one of those moments where Leon Edwards, when he won the title, said, "I come from the trenches." Having Jamal Hill be like, "You don't understand, like where I come from, like to get to this, it's insane." Seeing that moment, it was awesome. Like you get chills just thinking about it.
And to talk to him here, I know I do this all the time. Black Country Banger. He said, "Don't call Jamal a friend of the podcast." I just did. I rock with Terrence. What's your deal? Is this oh no, wait, isn't this what's his name's nickname? Oh no, what's his Jay Herbert. What's his nickname?
Oh,
it's something banger like that too.
Yeah.
Black Country Banger. The fact that you're on this stream right now, I can't imagine you're like Mr. like All American.
Yeah. Who's the biggest friend of the cast of the podcast? It's a good question. I mean, for a long time, I would say, yeah, it might be Don Davis. Might be the PFL. Yeah, he loves us. We're gonna get him back on the show soon. Don Davis, Brian Ortega was really cool.
Ortega was great. Honestly, a lot of the guys, even
Dustin Jacoby, he's up there. I saw Jacoby.
Yeah, Jacoby's definitely one. Cody Brundage.
Yeah.
We've got a good amount. We had a nice little roster of guys. We've been
Megan
very
Levy.
Yeah, Levy,
Patty and Molly,
Patty,
obviously,
of course.
Brandon Moreno, new undisputed champ. The 4th fight. I really wanted him to win this fight, but I didn't have a lot of faith in him going into this fight. I just thought it would go a lot like the last fight between Figgy and him. But oh my God, he looked amazing in this fight.
Yeah, he looked good. I thought so through the first 2 rounds. I thought he was up 2-0. I thought the rounds were close though. I think people disagreed on. So I was seeing a lot of variance on how people saw the rounds in the sense of not who won, but I think the variance of like how much he won by. I thought they were close because I thought even when it depended how they were scoring the true takedowns by Moreno, because I thought on top he wasn't doing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised though that all 3 judges gave Figueiredo the 3rd round. The 2nd round. I think that might have to do with he didn't do much with the takedown. I don't know if you know, at the very end of the round, Figueiredo started landing some big elbows from the bottom. He landed a few, if you remember. And I don't know if that swayed them at the very end, or I don't know exactly what swayed them to give all 3 to him. Obviously, it ends up not mattering. Moreno lands that huge left that just mushes his eyes shut.
Yeah,
and that was all she wrote.
Another thing that wound up not mattering, but thought is worth bringing up: the blatant fence grabs and the kick to the head on the ground from Figgy.
Oh yes.
It was crazy that
I don't think the
Moreno looked up at him like
he literally was like,
dude, what the
fuck? His
fuck?
face was so funny.
Yeah,
he was like, dude, just kicked me in the face.
Yeah.
I don't think he meant to in the sense of like, maybe he did.
I don't know. It was something though. Congrats to Brandon Moreno. I thought obviously you don't like to see a fight end doctor stoppage, a championship fight, especially a rubber match, but like the way the fight was going, And the fact that it wasn't like an eye poke, it was
a punch. No, it was a clean.
It was
punch.
a knuckle going into it. I thought that made it a little better, a little easier to swallow.
And I thought he won all 3 rounds, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
and Figueiredo announced he's going up in very dramatic fashion. He took the gloves off.
We said in the chat, I was like, wait, is he retiring?
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of glad he went to. I'm kind of glad he's going to bantamweight because it's just time to like to move on from this.
Yeah.
We've had 4 really good fights. It was time to just move on from this. And he obviously getting older in age has struggled to make some weight at times. Obviously, he missed weight the one way before he would have got the title earlier.
Yeah, against Benavidez.
He missed the weight against Benavidez. I feel like he can do so. Jesse Adams said he's going to get worked at bantamweight. I think he's going to do okay.
I think bantamweight's
just
okay too.
Bantamweight, I think right now is the most stacked division in the UFC.
Yeah.
So it's just really tough to break through.
I could be wrong. Could eat my words here, but I also think he's going to do pretty good at bantamweight.
I'm not saying,
a lot of fun matchups.
I'm not saying he's going to go win like a belt at 135, but I think he can compete in the top 15.
I think so too.
I think he can be top 15 at bantamweight. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think if you look at that 8 to like, listen, there's some guys I think he could lose to as well, but I think there's definitely some guys in the top 15 that he could win.
Rand says it's better that it was the co-main as well. I agree.
Yeah.
If the main event ended like Dr. Stoppage as well, it would have been a little worse. Although it could have. I thought it was maybe going.
You want to know what's a fight I would love at 135 for Figgy? Him versus like Cruz, maybe.
Someone said that. Was it Lee that said?
Maybe it was him versus Cruz. That was a good fight.
Well.
Like someone like or him maybe versus like a. See, I would have said this, but he just got booked. I would have said Pedro Munoz.
Yep.
But he just got booked to fight.
Did he like, or was it Yanez? I think Yanez.
He's got booked with Ricky Simone.
I'm pretty sure he retweeted "This is why I'll never fuck with Barstool." So he might be another guy that we might not be able to get on the podcast.
Adrian Yanez?
Yeah.
Another guy I love too.
Yanez and Kyle Dawkins. It's like the second thing Kyle Dawkins has retweeted that is anti-me. So I don't know what I did to piss off him, but sorry.
Yeah,
Kyle.
no beef with Kyle Dawkins. Not
I don't have beef with him.
Not his biggest fan, but not crazy. But I'm a huge Giannis fan, so that would upset me.
Yeah, I don't
love Giannis.
I don't think Giannis likes me anymore. Glover and Shogun both retired. 2 Brazilian legends. We knew it was going to be Shogun's retirement fight going in. We didn't know about Glover, but there was speculation if he loses this, maybe he does call it a day in Brazil and all that. Hell of a fight to go out on for Glover. Unfortunate for Shogun.
Yeah, it's just tough, man. Like you give these guys like
he gets grave danced on literally.
Yeah, there's just no easy fights in the UFC.
No.
And it always comes to a point like this where and you know what I've noticed? I think when was the last time a guy that said he was retiring going to a fight won a fight?
I know.
They always lose.
Frankie Edgar did it. Jose Aldo, right?
Cowboy.
Or Jose, no.
Well, Jose
he
decided
afterwards.
I think if he had won, he would have kept fighting.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Cerrone, even though he obviously was on kind of a losing
Aldo's going into the Hall of Fame too.
That was awesome. He was very emotional.
Yeah. I like that they surprise him.
Yeah, no, that was cool. Did you see his post presser where he talked about McGregor and how they're like friends now?
Yeah, that they DM sometimes on Instagram and shit.
He said that's the most money I ever made.
Yeah, he's like, how could I be mad at that guy?
Yeah.
He gave me the most money I ever made. Cool to see. Like, I like when rivals like that are friends years later, years down the line.
Especially because theirs was different.
Yeah.
There was like fighting shit talk, and there was, he abused him for months.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was almost like a year. Because the way he got injured, it was like he got injured and then the fight ended up getting pushed back.
He fought Dennis Seaver in January and, obviously hopped over the cage, got in Jose's face, and then fought him that December. So it was like a
cool because he fought Mendez in between.
Yeah, in July. Crazy. But yeah, heartwarming to see. And also just like their trash talk. And I saw someone reposted the clip of McGregor in the car and he's in Brazil because the card was in Brazil, obviously. And he just looks out the window. He goes, how do you say river in Brazil in Portuguese? And they're like, Rio. He goes, I own this river. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? The Bonfim bros here to stay.
Yeah.
They both came in and both looked amazing in their fights. Obviously, the one faced Terrence, and then the one was on the later prelims.
Lazez.
Both looked incredible. And I said, you got to keep booking them on the same card. This is a gimmick. The Bonfim bros on a card together is like the Able bros and Rough and Rowdy, but for UFC. I love this.
Almost be like how girls they get on the same period, like just put them in the same fight schedule.
They do the cut together and all that, and that could be like a marketable thing, like how Patty and Molly fighting on the same card is smart for everyone involved. I think this is smart as well.
They both were incredibly. Obviously, I mean, to knock out McKinney like that was incredibly
Giannis
impressive.
Didn't retweet it, so that's good.
Okay, that's good.
He wasn't one of the people that
shout out
Giannis.
And then I mean, even Lizez is a decent fighter, has had some solid wins in the UFC.
Yep.
To go just submit him in like 40 seconds, 50 seconds was
real
crazy.
Quick, made it look easy.
Sub a minute, just very impressive.
Speaking of making things look easy, Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy. Yikes! What a beatdown this was. Lauren Murphy.
She is so tough, man.
That's all. You know what? We said it though last week. We were like, toughness might be the only thing she has over Jessica Andrade in this fight, and that's what it was. Andrade said by the end of the fight she had to stop throwing punches because her hand hurt.
Yeah, I believe it. I remember what's his name saying that too. Sugar in his fight talked a lot about that.
Yeah,
like when he just
against Moicino, right?
She was just landing like so many punches for 3 rounds straight.
Her
just
face looked all like
her face was exploded.
Yeah,
she's so tough.
Yeah,
so give her a ton of credit. And I had a feeling I was only upset because I had a big parlay with if she had finished, I would have hit like pretty big. But I thought about it too, almost with the Shevchenko fight. Shevchenko did finish her, but she took a beating from Shevchenko for like 4 or 5 rounds too. She got finished. Lauren Murphy's a tough girl, tough woman, a lot of respect. That was I don't know. I would have died in like 2 seconds.
Oh my God, yeah.
Just raining punches. Good God. And
Andrade against the fence too, or just
Andrade is such a beast, man.
Johnny Walker, the other one worth talking about, faced Paul Craig, beat him via hammer fists, and kind of in Johnny Walker, kind of an awkward way. Like it was straight north to south hammer fists against the cage. Sean Sheehan from Severe MMA predicted this. He literally tweeted before the fight, I predict Johnny Walker north to south hammer fists.
What?
Like standing, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me for that prediction? Like,
that's
crazy.
That guy's a wizard.
And then he did the worm, but didn't fall into it. He was very careful doing the worm.
He needs some respect. These 2 really good performances in a row. Especially after the Jamal Hill fight.
Yep.
He had kind of become like a little, I don't want to say the laughing stock, but definitely some memes out there. People kind of clowning him, not taking him as serious.
Yeah.
Coming from this point right before that Corey Anderson fight, I remember people in my ear being like, he's going to be the one that beats John Jones.
Oh, I know.
And then he obviously had the Anderson fight happens.
Yep.
Turns his stock down. Had some loss in between, but these are 2 really good wins. And this is the fight that shows you how much of a freak he is. Like it reminded you some of those early UFC performances, his like debut and first few fights. He's just such a specimen.
Yeah. And there's something about him I just like. I know some people don't like him. I think the eccentricness, the charisma, charismaticness, I think he's a very entertaining guy that's good for the division, good for the sport if you want to go that far. He's got Connor's corner in his corner, so I like that too.
It's such an odd combo.
It's like he was wearing the Ireland shorts in Brazil. He was repping Ireland. He chose
That's wild.
That was the other thing I said about McKinney too, and not to harp on McKinney. I thought it was weird that he picked the yellow and green shorts while facing a Brazilian.
I'm surprised.
Let him wear that.
I'm surprised the Brazilian didn't. I would assume they would have let Brazilian wear it first.
I feel like the red corner just gets to decide first, and then you get your pick. I think so.
Okay.
But yeah, that was pretty much the card. What was am I forgetting a main card fight? Oh, Neil Magny and Gilbert Burns.
I mean,
quick fight.
Did you see the quote from It was
his wife,
Gilbert's wife. Like, don't get hit. Like, go in there and just.
She said, "I don't want you to bang quickly tonight."
She was probably a little traumatized after the Hamzat fight.
Yeah,
literally the fight of the year.
Yeah,
recipient. Congrats to them.
But he did listen to her. He was
dominant. I put in the group chat. I was like, that is the difference between. No disrespect to Magny, because Magny's such a legend, and Magny's such he's such a dog. He literally will fight anybody, and there are very few guys you can say that about. Magny will fight literally anybody. I mean, him to take this fight, he's taken Hamzat fight. They got canceled. He's literally down to fight anybody. But this was the difference between like a top 15 gatekeeper, if you will, top 10 gatekeeper, and a bona fide like top 3-4 legitimate title contender.
Yeah. I see in the chat, someone said, am I going blind, or is this damn picture fuzzy? It is fuzzy.
We don't know what to do about it.
I don't know why it's this issue for months. I don't know what to do. But we're hardwired into the internet. We try the Wi-Fi. We try the internet. The fuzziness doesn't go away. So apologies about that. Anyone else have questions? What happened to Ryan Hall, goofiest fighter in UFC history? I think Ryan Hall's technically still on the roster.
Has he fought? Has he fought since the Taporia fight?
No.
I don't think he has. Which obviously was a bad knockout, but that was a while ago. That was like 2 years ago.
He also like doesn't get fights because everyone turns him down.
No
They're
one
like,
wants to
there's no
fight him.
upside. Like
Yeah.
you face this massive risk if he's going to do this crazy big roll and then catch you with some weird ass submission you've never seen. Oh, he did fight since then. He won a decision.
Oh, you want to know? Did he fight? That's who I was looking at. He fought Derek Minner. That was right.
Oh,
Who?
yeah.
Wow, that's odd.
Yeah.
Derek Minner's second to last fight.
Yeah.
That was a weird fight where they both were just like couldn't submit each other. We just were like, Ryan Hall just kind of was like winning position.
This is a good question from Jesse Adams. I asked my buddies this question about Shogun. Do you think, guys, people forget how good Shogun really was because he was in the same class as Anderson Silva, Vanderlei Silva, Machida, all from Brazil too? Probably. I think so. That whole era kind of like should get more respect.
For sure. And I would say, like, listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I was watching Pride when it was like in its prime.
Yeah.
But just as like a fan of the sport, I've like went back and watched all those fights, stuff like that. And like him in Pride in his early days was like unstoppable. He was he was like just running through everybody.
Yeah.
He had like the one, I think it was, and he was on like 21 or 22 or something like that in a single like they do the Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knocked out Rampage, like in his prime. He knocked out like Alistair Overeem when he was at like 205. When he was at like 205, like the names he was running through like were crazy. Like even like Liddell when he came in. Or maybe no, was that Machado? He had a bunch of those two great fights with Machado also. The second one when he knocked him out with the ground and pound.
Yeah,
like slept him with the ground and pound.
That was one of the first like me getting together with my friends. It was Shogun, Machida. I forget what UFC it was, but I remember us betting quarters on it. We were literally betting quarters, 25 cents on this fight I got. Any other questions from the chat? I'm going to make sure before our interview with UFC Hall of Famer Forrest Griffin, I'm going to make sure the audio is good so we could hear it through the headphones. I hadn't thought about that.
Go ahead. I'll just so John Tucker says, what's next for Gilbert Burns? Feels like Colby does indeed make sense. I think he makes a ton of sense. I'd love to see that fight. I feel like Dana's made it kind of clear that or at least he's talked about in some press conferences, that he really wants the Hamzat Colby fight, which I would love that too. That's another awesome fight. But then there's the rumors that Hamzat's going to go straight to 185. But I feel like he'd make one more try at 70. He's so close to a belt. He's literally a win away from getting the shot. If he beats Colby, he's 100% getting the shot.
Is making 170 an issue for him at this point?
I mean, from the last fight, you have to say yes.
Do you think that's a bigger issue than anything else, though? Do you think that's the key factor?
Well, I think Colby's is like MIA right now. Because Colby's been offered to like a few people, I guess, and it seems like that's the fight they want to make, and they just can't get it done. I think it's because of him. Also, quick, the one person we didn't talk about who just is like, I think we knew exactly what was going to happen, exactly what we thought was going to happen.
Oh, your guy?
Yeah, I'm telling you, Almeida is going to come for a belt one day. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
This man is a fucking freak. He literally, listen, Shamil's like not a great on the ground, obviously, but he literally was like toying with him.
Yeah.
I had knockout, but I also had knockout first round. And I swear I was at the end. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, just throw those like coconut bombs. Like they're going to just stop it.
Yeah.
Like he has nothing for you.
No, if you told me this time next year he was UFC champ, it wouldn't completely shock me.
He is, and 205 is interesting because now like 205's gotten interesting with obviously Jamal at the top. Jamal Yuri's a great fight because they're very similar stylistically. But then you still have like the Blachowicz is up there. Like Rakic is young and healthy once he gets healthy. When he's young and ready. You have like now like Johnny Walker's back in the top 10. You have like Almeida, I think is, even though Almeida's in this weird spot because they keep giving him like heavyweights.
Yeah.
He's like all over the place. He like fights heavyweights from like light heavyweight. I think light heavyweight's his natural weight, but he's so strong. He's capable of just like beating up these heavyweights that have nothing on the mat. I'm
going to, not to cut you off, but I'm going to go patch in our guest, Forrest Griffin. So hold on one second, ladies and gentlemen, and he will be joining the show. You'll probably need headphones too.
Oh, yeah. Are these yours or mine?
Yours.
Get in here right now.
Hey,
Forrest, what's going on?
not much. How you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome, I guess, I suppose.
Oh, look at us. We're all sideways on that, huh? Forrest, you can't see me. I'm over here, but how are you?
I can see you. You're beautiful. I'm great, man. I'm great.
Great.
All right, thank you. How are you, man?
You know, I don't know, but maybe it's best I don't know. If I knew, I might have to do something about it, right? So I don't know.
That's a good way to go about life, I think. You tweeted me recently. I wanted to bring this up.
Yeah.
I tweeted my top 10 favorite movies of the year, and you just said, with no context, you said you got this all wrong.
You got this all wrong. Yeah.
What do you got for me? You got any top 10 movies of the year? You got movies you liked this year?
I will send you my list.
You have a real list made?
So people know. They say, Forrest, you're a smart guy.
Always.
So yeah, well, not about life, about fighting and entertainment. And so yeah, I have a list. Like I have a full on
wow.
Like I mean, look how far that sucker goes.
You keep track.
It's a lot of scrolling.
If I watch a thing and I think it's worthy, I'll put it down and then I'll make a few notes. This show is X, Y, or Z. It can be found here. Yeah.
Oh, I would love for you to share that list with me. I want to see the Forrest Griffin Q, the watch list.
I'll tweet it to you today.
All right. Well, one thing that's got to be on the watch list is the Power Slap League. That's what we're here to talk about today. It's the new league on TBS. They just debuted last week. We watched it, and you are involved. You are a head catcher for the Power Slap League.
I just like the name of that.
Head catcher.
Head catcher. That's a great title.
That's a great name.
I just had my business cards changed to professional head catcher. So,
is that something you volunteered for, or is that something they were like, Forrest, get involved in this?
So it actually started as someone else's joke, and then a joke's only funny if you take it too far. So then I actually start doing it.
So you were like, wouldn't it be funny if I was a head catcher? And then you were like, wait, what if I actually do it? That would be actually funny.
So, and this is the truth, for better or for worse about the sport. I got up there and it was intense and I felt like a little buzz and I was like, I really like doing this, just you're like, you don't know what's going to happen. You want to react. Like you're nervous. There's judges, but like looking and they're like, Forrest, you got to scoot over. And I was like, but I want to be, if the guy goes this way or that, it's, it's an intense thing up there, from the flip to the final slap, you're kind of like, whoa, what did, and again, these people know what they signed up for. I wouldn't do it, but I'm 46 years old. So why would I?
Do you think you would have did it in your heyday?
No, definitely not in my heyday. Now, when 22-year-old Forrest was fighting professional boxing for $200 in smokers. And why are they called smokers? Because we're doing them in bars. I was doing tough man contests. I would have done a lot more. I mean, I used to, when I was in my 20s, I would define myself as a prize fighter, as in, if the sandwich is a prize, I will fight you for it. So I would have definitely done it in my early 20s, I would have been all about that nonsense.
So what do you have to say to, like, obviously we're fans, but even more, I think me actually even more than Robbie. I really liked watching it. What do you say to the people who think because they can't defend themselves, it's like too violent, or they don't like, how do you feel about that kind of assessment of it, if you will?
Yeah. Don't watch. This is the mistake people make. Everybody comes out and I don't want to tell you guys secrets, but this is the thing. You come out and criticizing thing. Well, now that topic trends and more people just get exposed to it. When somebody says something I don't like, I simply block them or move on from them or try to avoid that person. And I never say a thing to them or anyone else about it because I don't want to make more smoke so more people start bringing more eyes to it. So that would be my advice for the people that don't like it. It's pretty smart advice, right?
Very smart advice. Is that the Streisand effect? Is that what they call it? Like, don't bring attention to that yourself. You're just throwing more gas on the fire. The format of it is also very
Barbara Streisand.
What'd you say?
I think, like, you mean like Barbara Streisand?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. I think it's called the Streisand effect.
Is it after Barbara Streisand, the actor?
I think it might be.
I have no idea.
I think something happened with Barbara and she threw more gas on the fire by talking about it.
Okay.
I'm not crazy, Forrest. I'm a smart guy too. You and me, we're one and the same.
You are crazy. And if you're comparing yourself as smart to me being smart, maybe you're not that smart.
Fair enough. The format of the Power Slap show on TBS, very similar to the format of The Ultimate Fighter in terms of let's take all these guys and throw them in the house. Is that something that you were like, oh yeah, I could get down with this because I'm familiar?
Well, I got to do a tour of their house, like before they went in, and a little tour for camera of the house. It's way better than the house we had.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice. So also, they do get in some fights in the house, So I'm interested to see how those, what happens. It's kind of a weird thing, right? So we only had one kind of fight in the house the first time I was in it. Yeah, and mostly we just had property get damaged. So we'll see what they do here.
What was the worst thing about being in the house with all the other dudes?
All of it.
Yeah.
All the worst things.
Yeah.
Being in the house with other dudes, we broke the sewage, the plumbing, because there were so many dudes. So we back.
Dudes taking dumps. You broke it with dumps.
Well, showers, dumps, just living life garbage down the disposal. We broke the septic tank. They didn't show that. They didn't have the guts to show that.
I was gonna, because it's funny you said that, because I was gonna ask you what was the crazy thing that happened while you're on the show that they didn't show on TV. Was that it?
That was one of them. Yeah, the septic tank broke, and we had to shower at the gym, which there's only one shower, so it took it took each team an hour just to shower. They got it fixed, though. They got it taken care of.
How many bathrooms were in the house originally? Do you remember that?
Yeah, probably 5, I'd say.
All right, so you got a decent amount of bathrooms.
If you ever watched the first episode, I peed outside to save the earth.
Your lights just went off like the Undertaker is making a run in on your interview here.
Yeah, I mean, should I turn them on, or is this?
No, this is fine. It's more dramatic. It looks like we're doing an intense sit down now.
You're popping now.
Yeah, guys, you were like to save the earth, and then the lighting hit like you were gonna give a presentation on global warming.
I don't need that extra power. That's energy I don't need to use. So
there you go,
saving the earth again.
Trying to save the earth.
Did you watch this Saturday UFC 283?
Of course.
You watch every weekend?
I saw all 510 or 11 fights last year.
Wow.
I still love it. I love that. What did you think of the fights this weekend? What were the standouts for you?
Obviously, Jamal Hill, right? You know, training for a 3-rounder, moved to a 5-rounder, took the belt. It was so cool to see him. He's a pretty good guy, too. He's one of those guys, I don't know if you've met him or been around him, but he kind of walks around kind of like the way he walks around, kind of goofy, happy, free to be himself. If he was 5'6", you'd want to make fun of him. You know what I'm saying? If he was your size and walked around the way he does, people would make fun of him. But he's, he's just that comfortable himself, and he's not trying to be tough at all. He doesn't even suck his stomach in. He's just doesn't care. I love that about him. He's just yeah. And he doesn't have an intimidating physique, other than he's a big, long guy.
Who are your favorite fighters that come through the PI? Because you're there pretty often. What is your official title at the PI?
All of them. Every fighter that comes through the PI is my favorite.
Yeah. You don't want to pick any favorites?
No, I really, and I mean, I truly see myself as working for all of them. So yeah.
No, it's true. What is your official title at the Performance Institute?
Vice President of Athlete Development. And
through that, is it if fighters have anything, they could come to you, essentially?
Yeah. And so what I'm an expert in is nothing, but I'm an expert in getting you in touch with who you need to get in touch with for whatever problem you have.
You're the guy for everything.
He's you're the guy's guy.
Exactly.
You got a guy.
You're the guy that always has a guy.
Yeah.
That guy's important. That's the glue guy.
I got a guy. I got a guy. But I don't got a guy. I have a $1 million team behind me, so it's even better.
But you're also that guy for some people. They're we need a head catcher, and someone out there said, we got a guy.
That's right. I got a guy. They were like, it'd be fun if you did this. And I said, it would. It'd be funnier if I really did it, though. So, yeah.
We were talking about it, the One-Eyed Wolf, one of the fighters from the first episode of Power Slap. He fought in Rough and Rowdy. I don't know if you're familiar with Rough and Rowdy. It's a backwoods kind of boxing championship that we have, but it was cool to see crossover of the Power Slap League and Rough and Rowdy.
Yeah, he couldn't get medically cleared though.
I know that was tough. He can get medically cleared for boxing matches, which I thought was interesting.
I don't know, again,
you never know.
That's that West Virginia commission.
It is. And it's also like Dana White said, he's like, hey, he's only a guy. Might as well let him keep the other one.
Yeah, you'd have to make like a rule, like you can only slap him on this side, or it's so
And then we also had 2 huge retirements at UFC 283, Shogun and Glover Teixeira. Any thoughts on the 2 obviously legends of the sport calling it quits?
No, I'm glad they both retired. They, both Hall of Fame careers, amazing athletes. For me, just coming up when I did, Brazil was seen as the mecca of it. Shogun, shoebox, that was the thing. When I was coming up, I'm a little older than you guys, but so just to see a fight in Rio and all that, sounds weird, but I'm a big fan of Brazil and everything Brazilian, just because I kind of associate fighting with Brazil. When I found out, it was like, it was those were the guys, right?
No, absolutely, and both of them.
And then I got to fight one of them. I got to beat him once and got beat up by him once, so that's always nice.
Yeah. Any memories from those fights that stick out about the person himself?
No, Shogun's a classy dude. I've always liked him. So I fought in Brazil before I was ever with the UFC, and his manager, Shogun's manager, is the guy that put the event on and got me the fights down there.
Oh, wow.
And I broke my arm in the second fight with him, and he personally took me to the hospital, and I'll never forget that.
Shogun's manager did?
Yeah.
Wow, that's very nice.
And then I had, I had just an amazing event. If you're an old school UFC fan, I was trying to order my meal. Obviously, I don't speak Portuguese, but down in Brazil, and I hear somebody say it, and I was like, yes, that's what I want. Chicken, that's the word. And it was Pedro Rizzo.
Oh, my God.
Pedro Rizzo just wanted my lunch. I love Brazil. And, they've always been super cool to me in Brazil, too, so I don't know.
And they were it's like you said, they respect fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if there was, I'll say this out of not out of ill will, I'll say out of respect. What's one guy that that's in the division right now that you would have wanted to fight out of just to test yourself, or somebody that you just have a lot of respect for?
205?
Yeah.
God, there's so many. I tell you who I wouldn't want to fight is what is it, Ankalaev?
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't. That's a rough style. He's like a odd counter fighter, but he's good at everything, and he kind of plays that distance space game where nothing's happening. Psych, you're unconscious. So he's be my least favorite guy to fight. I'd fight a Glover because we're around the same age, or at least close.
If Ankalaev gets the next shot, how do you think that fight goes with him and Jamal Hill?
I don't know, but that is probably the next fight, right? Because Yuri won't probably be ready.
They were saying something that Yuri might be a little ready a little earlier than expected, which I know really? Jamal said he's called for that fight for a year.
Yeah.
So he said he would wait for that fight if it was going to be reasonable. Basically, it sounded to me if it was in 2023, he would do it. He would wait.
Yeah.
But that's not.
Do fighters rehab injuries at the PI?
Oh, yeah. That's a huge part of what they do here.
I thought so.
Sure. We got a ton here right now.
Yeah.
I can't tell you who because that's
top
HIPAA
secret
information.
HIPAA.
Yeah. But there's a ton, and it's a great place to do it. And that was one of the get on my high horse here. That was one of the biggest reasons why they founded this place was not to go to a physical therapist or athletic trainer that works, or chiropractor that works with people from car accidents, but to actually work with professional athletes. So we brought people in from the Olympic Training Center and from all over the world that are the best of the best, right? Sports. Yeah. They're working with athletes. They're going to push you into your rehab. They're not like, do 10 of these and I'll forget about you, and then maybe 12 of those when you finish, and then go get some ice and go home. Real, I want to fight again, rehab, push yourself, concentrate on what you're doing. And that's one of the things I cannot speak highly enough about here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just did. So there you go.
You look at some of these guys where they're talking about, Geary messed up his shoulder worse than anyone's ever messed up their shoulder. And you worry about that kind of stuff. Like you want them to come back 100% like the fighter they were before. So I'm happy we have those practices in place.
For sure. And, it's an important resource, right?
Of course, yeah, for all the fighters. And then we have some comments in our chat. I know that you have commented on this recently, but obviously Stephan Bonner's passing just happened, and you two were involved in one of the most iconic fights in MMA history. Just any thoughts on, that unfortunate passing?
Yeah, I mean, just, so we all do this thing because of our own mentality where we want to blame the person that's died for something, not necessarily blame them, but say, well, they did X, that's why they died so soon. Well, Stephan wasn't, he wasn't in a bad place when he passed. Like he wasn't doing anything that you and I don't do. He was going to bed early, working out as much as he could, he was living like a good life at the time. And, so don't think he was crazy doing all crazy stuff. That's why he died. So, like Anthony Johnson, right? That's crazy. That guy,
yeah.
He's still to me a huge could have been, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you think about his power versus guys like Glover and the big Swedish kid, knocking him out, just like touching people, and they just lose consciousness. He's always be a what if. But back to Stephan, I mean his legacy and the importance he played in the UFC at that moment, that kind of tipping point, you really can't undersell that. It was a huge thing.
And I thought you had a really nice post about it where you said you got a kick out of it whenever people found out you guys were friends.
Yeah. And I mean, this would happen one of the best was in line at SeaWorld. We just ended up talking to some guy for 40 minutes. And then after Stephan passed, he texted me and he remembered that conversation. I kind of remembered it too, because we talked to some guy in line at SeaWorld with our kids for like 40 minutes. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
That is really cool. All right, Forrest, we thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, the Power Slap League is what you're here to promote. It's on TBS on Wednesdays, right? Wednesdays is correct, after AEW Dynamite. So check it out, the Power Slap League. You'll get in with the storylines, fall in love with the characters, the crazy knockouts, all of that, and you'll get to see Forrest Griffin catch some heads.
Yeah, and like they do in Thai boxing. If you ever watch the Thai fights, they just catch the head. If you've ever seen that.
Yeah. There you go.
Check that out. Also,
all right, Forrest,
I'll come on and correct you about all the TV stuff you need.
All the movies. I need to see the list. I need to see the watch list.
All right. I'm on it.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Forrest Griffin on Spinnin Backfist. There we go. The camera fixed itself.
Perfect. Just boop.
UFC Hall of Famer.
Legend.
Have we had a Hall of Famer on before? I don't know.
We had GSP.
Oh, duh. I mean, come on.
We had GSP. I think we've had other ones too, maybe.
Had more than one. I looked down the list of how many shows we did last year or whatever, and it was more than I thought. We had like 70-something shows last year.
I've had some thoughts about that too, where we've interviewed we've had a very nice catalog of guests.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Young fighters,
from GSP
new
to
fighters,
even from
fighters,
Aljo to like Volkanovski.
Champs, yeah.
To Juliana Pena.
Yeah. And hopefully more this year.
We just had Jamal Hill on.
Hopefully I didn't ruin it all with my Terrence McKinney blog. That was great though. Forrest is the man.
Yeah.
Very, very funny guy. Yeah.
Just crazy the impact him and Stephan had.
Yeah.
Really is wild.
When I think about my earliest days of becoming a UFC fan, I think about playing that UFC Undisputed 09 game with him on the cover. And I would play as him because he was on the cover. I thought he was cool.
Honestly, me getting into the sport really, really early was mostly like the video game. I feel like at first.
Yeah, the video game.
I just remember on the because I remember in the classic it'd be like Forrest Griffin verse Shogun Hua.
Yeah,
and the voice the voice would be like Quentin Rampage Jackson versus Lyoto Machida.
Yeah,
like that that was the best.
Such a great
era was just such a great era of personalities between all those guys, all those fighters were just a great
oh my god, yeah. Rampage coming out in the giant chain,
the metal chain.
Yeah. I hope the next UFC game is awesome because the last one they put out I didn't really enjoy.
The UFC 4?
Yeah.
I haven't played it.
I liked the first couple EA UFC games, which I know some people, I think a lot of people didn't like the first couple. I thought the first couple were all right, and then they lost me. The submission system started getting too hard. It was tough.
See, I'm the type, like, I'm going in there and I'm just clicking kicks and punches.
See, that's what I want.
Kick punches. The
submission system, you have
until I knock you out or I get knocked out.
It's like you're picking locks with the joystick.
Like, I'm not shooting for takedowns in a video game.
No, fuck that. They do have a knockout only mode though, which is fun, where it's like there's no takedowns or anything like that. It's just you throw hands. It's like Rock'em Sock'em Robots almost. But that was the show for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for sticking by Spinnin Backfist in the war times, if you did. And if you didn't, thanks for tuning in anyway. We appreciate it.
We love fighters. Don't get it twisted.
We love fighters. We
love
fighters.
them. We respect them. We are aware that the smallest 125 pounder would literally put me in a pretzel.
Yeah.
Would bury my face in the dirt.
We don't claim to be journalists. We don't claim to be fighters.
Not journalists.
Not at all.
Certainly not a cage fighter, prize fighter.
Couple fans talking shit, and maybe sometimes we take it a little too far. Or maybe we don't. That's for you guys to decide. But that was Spinnin Backfist for the 23rd. We'll talk to you guys later on in the week.
God bless.